PNG Ports signs sister port agreement with Shenzen Port in China. Solomon Islands Prime Minister Sogavare HERE to discuss MSG Business. And senior statesmen receive copies of 40-year constitution.
This is National EMTV News with Morobe.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for Wednesday's news. PNG Ports Corporation has signed a sister port agreement with China's port of Shenzhen. PNG Ports CEO Stanley Alphonse said PNG has much to learn from Shenzhen, which has grown from a fishing village to being one of the busiest and fastest growing ports in the world. The sister port relationship agreement is an opportunity to share skills and knowledge on port business and trade between both ports.
The signing ceremony of the sister port agreement between PNG Ports Corporation and China's Shenzhen Port Authority representatives took place in Port Moresby this morning. Shenzen Port is located in China's south and is the country's low-carbon demonstration port. It has established sister ports with 18 other global ports. Shenzen Port has over 250 shipping routes that pass through more than 300 ports around the world. Vice Mayor of the Shenzhen metropolis said Shenzen Port is committed to sharing its expertise for mutual partnership with PNG.
As important port cities in their respective regions, Shenzen Port is committed to growing with ports of Papua New Guinea, sharing experience and technical expertise and seeking closer cooperation and mutual development.
National Capital District Governor Powes Pakov said PNG stands to benefit from this sister port relationship.
For our city, we are very excited about this growing relationship between Port Moresby and Shenzhen, a city that is one of the pillars of the economy of China, and we can see there is going to be a lot of benefits coming from this mutual relationship we are going to sign.
I'm quite happy that
CEO of PNG Ports Stanley Alphonse said Port Moresby is one of the few capitals of the world which is not connected to other parts of the country by road. This makes the Port Authority's task doubly important, both locally and as the international maritime gateway for PNG and the Pacific region.
We at PNG Ports look forward to maintaining and foster this relationship, not only in terms of port development, the infrastructure, the operations and the management thereof, but also in terms of the trade facilitation, encouraging shipping lines directly between the existing lines of Shenzhen to Lake, but also creating that volume necessary so we can spin it off to the Pacific.
Mr. Alphonse also said the relationship is an opportunity to share skills, knowledge and information on port business and trade. In the meantime, Governor Pakop said he will meet with the Vice Mayor of Shenzhen to discuss sister city prospects between Port Moresby and Shenzhen City. Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
The Enga provincial government has paid in full its airfare subsidies for Link PNG flights into Enga province. Enga Governor Sir Peter Ipatas, when presenting the funds, said the subsidy will provide a convenient service for his people when travelling by air in and out of Wapenamanda.
The mode of travelling by air in and out of Enga province has been the provincial government's long-time agenda to see fully developed. Enga Governor Sir Peter Ipatas announced this during the handing over of a 700,000 kina subsidy cheque to Link PNG this morning. The 700,000 kina is part of last year's subsidies, which totaled up to 1 million kina. Governor Ipatas says Link PNG is providing a vital service and is saving his people the extra costs by travelling to Mount Hagen's Kagamuga International Airport to catch a flight to Port Moresby.
And so when you cost out time factor and all these transport costs, you will see that the amount of money that we subsidize airfares is justified. Now we only subsidize because we want our people to pay the same fare as Hagen.
Sir Ipatas says the growth of Enga province is also one reason the province must have a firm airline service.
This is a service directly helping my small people. There is a lot more things happening in Enga now. We've got more tertiary institutions in the province, very convenient for our lecturers, students. We're building a new hospital this year.
While Wapenamanda may have its fair share of bad history in terms of airline flights, the governor says the last 14 years has been based on building a positive relationship with Air New Guinea.
Airfares for Mount Hagen Wapenamanda are slightly higher than the Mount Hagen airfares. So what we've done is we've actually worked out the difference between Mount Hagen and Wapenamanda, and that's basically how the formula came about.
The governor also announced his provincial government will discuss with Air New Guinea to double the number of flights in and out of Enga province. Stanley Over Jr., National MTV News.
With a 6-month-old board in place and an acting CEO, Joshua Soso, who assumed office a month ago, the Eastern Highlands Provincial Hospital is keen to put the past behind them. Mr. Soso spoke to MTV about their plans to revive vital services at the hospital.
The top priority for the new CEO is to ensure systems and processes are back in place following the recent impasse that has plagued the provincial hospital.
And look at the negative situation and make sure that we convert that into quantitative analysis using admission and cure rates and death rates as the basis of our benchmark that we need to set.
He said once they have their figures, they plan to unfold a roadmap that will ensure minimum efficiency of services. After that is achieved, the hospital will once again look at reviving support to rural areas. However, for now, savings need to be made to fix priority areas.
So in terms of management, I cut overhead costs. Including duty travel, vehicle pounding, so that we use that saving to do major renovations. So in the curative at Goroka Hospital, we'd like to start from the accident and emergency all the way up to the theater, to all the 4 wards that we have.
A standoff between the management and staff of the hospital, which began in 2014, exasperated an already declining service delivery. A report suggested the hospital lost their level 5 ranking. Since the inception of a new board in July last year, headed by former Governor Miles Smith, Mr. Soso said they are committed to the new roadmap to ensure efficient service delivery is restored to the people of Eastern Highlands.
And so we are taking those interventions so that there's a minimum level of efficiency and ensuring that those other issues that have popped up that has caused the impasses are addressed properly. We're going down to the roots so they don't recur again in the future.
Sarah Aupong, National MTV News.
A limited edition of Papua New Guinea's constitution has been printed as part of the country's 40th anniversary. This version contains amendments made to the constitution since 1975. Papua New Guineans who were part of the Constitutional Planning Committee and other senior statesmen are among select Papua New Guineans to receive copies. Sir Rabina Maliu, Saya Avosa, Sir Angmai Bilas and Tony Ila were presented their copies by former Chief Secretary to Government Sir Manasupe Zurno. It was one of Sir Manasupe's personal projects when he was Chief Secretary to see the printing of these books as a token of appreciation to the people who developed a constitution that has survived 40 years. You're watching National MTV News. Among stories after the break, Opposition Leader Don Pollier's call for the government to set priorities amidst financial difficulties. Stay with us. Welcome back to National MTV News. Solomon Islands Prime Minister Manasseh Sogavare arrived in Papua New Guinea today. In his capacity as current chairman of Melanesian Spearhead Group, Prime Minister Sogavare wasted no time meeting with Papua New Guinea's Foreign Affairs Minister Rimbing Pato this afternoon on issues concerning the MSG. Sogavare will meet with Prime Minister Peter O'Neill tomorrow. Among the agendas to be discussed will be the position of Secretary General of the MSG as well as member country financial contributions to this regional body.
As you know, the Secretariat is established by by leaders and pursue the interest of member countries. And if the contributions don't go, then it affects the operations of the Secretariat. So one of the agenda of the discussion was to ask our member countries to please bring in those contributions, the normal assessed contributions and voluntary contributions.
To lay in the Morobe province now, and there have been 4 reported armed robberies this week. Yesterday, Remington warehouse was hit by armed men. On Saturday, 6 men armed with factory-made guns held up Lay's Zero City supermarket staff and security guards. They escaped with the money taken from the cash register. Kuima security guard Anton Poka said the men used a Mazda BT50 vehicle to carry out the heist on the supermarket. It was reported that the car belonged to Hardware House and it was stolen last Thursday. Kuima security guards chased the criminals but were not able to stop them. Police were alerted and pursued, but the criminals left the vehicle at Kamkumung settlement and fled on foot. The vehicle was recovered and returned to the company, and police are currently investigating this incident. Opposition leader Don Polye says the government must focus on the people in this time of financial difficulties. In a news conference today, he said important areas that concern the well-being of people, such as drought and healthcare, must be prioritized.
As the global slump in oil prices continues, the government will be forced to make drastic financial decisions. While many sectors have received a budget cut, the opposition has reminded the government to put people as its first priority. Opposition leader Don Polye says it would be a betrayal of the people if the government cut costs for church-run health services and programs such as the multi-drug resistant tuberculosis and drought-affected areas.
So there are very difficult decisions that a government will make. And these decisions must be made with honest care and love for our people. You look at the funds that have been cut that should go into health services run by churches throughout the country. You look at the university education funds slashed. You look at other areas, the LLGs, local level governments, funds slashed. And the drought, the government could not even go into the desperate people in Western Province and other parts of the country.
In a media conference today, Mr. Polye says the country needs leaders that are honest and open in what they do. He says legislation for whistleblowers must be passed in Parliament to protect people who expose cases of bad practice.
Papua New Guinea does not need threats where people are standing up for honesty. Those whistleblowers, those people who are standing up to promote good governance, these people do not need to be threatened. Whether he is a public servant, whether she is a private sector, whether the person is a politician like me, people who promote good governance and talk about issues and advocate transparent leadership and systems of governance in this country need not be threatened.
He made his comments when producing a letter said to be from the Prime Minister, Peter O'Neill. The letter, dated 24th January, expressing his intention to refer Mr. Polye to the Ombudsman Commission for misconduct in office and to police for criminal prosecution. This is in relation to the contract for the new National Courthouse building that was awarded to a company which Polye claimed has personal interest with a member of the National Executive Council. Quinten Alomp, National EMTV News.
Villagers of Inahombi in the Yanguru Sausia electorate of East Sepik Province have thanked their local MP, Richard Maru, for investing in priority areas. They say projects such as road infrastructure, health and education are key essentials to growth and development, and villagers have pledged to work together with the MP to make Yanguru Sausia a model district in East Sepik Province. Fabian Hakelitz was at the road opening and files this report.
Now, over the last 40 years, people have suffered, especially women, due to bad road conditions. But now the story has changed. They can now catch a PNV straight from their homes. This follows the commissioning of the Inahombi Road that will enable more access.
Inahombi Road in East Yangru was the road recently opened this week. Locals have highly spoken about the road network in Yangru's South electorate that has linked many villages. The road was a blessing and relief for villages, especially mothers, whom for many years have struggled with a garden produce, carrying it all the way to the main junction.
But I'm not going to plan. Mr. Maru. I don't think you want something you working just la road and become and give you la big la halami. Now we're back and sit in the house. Kissy phone doesn't abide in paper, please. Kissy caracam there from a house to a placala placard down.
Take the work by yourself, leader. You true leader, Namibla hold yourself. Suppose you come back and another 5 layers by working. People service now, people serving through the life of the people.
Angela Vines from Lee was among others who flew in to witness the road opening. She was happy of the change, which she attributed to good leadership.
Now look him, what is something come? Now look if something come up, now you appreciate him, now you amamas, more will come. More something will come. Also now you got people, amamas, line to lay to harem now.
Local MP Richard Maru says Inahombi has become the model village by taking ownership of major developments like road infrastructure.
The only village in the entire Yangru Social will be looking for work Monday and look at the road local. After many roads you be building, I'm in Nagambi village. You have to be commended. Give me praise and God, leadership and effort so far.
Now, Mr. Maru says opportunities must be embraced for more developments to come. He challenged the people to take ownership of development that will bring more benefits for now and into the future. In Inahombi village, East Yangru, East Sepik province, Fabian Haklitz, National MTV News.
The Papua New Guinea Defence Force saw the promotion of 2 senior officers in the Defence Force hierarchy today. PNGDF Commander Brigadier General Gilbert Toropo and Secretary for Defence Vali Asi officiated at the occasion for the 2 former Lieutenant Colonels who moved up to the rank of Colonels. Lorraine Gabina reports.
Lieutenant Colonel Alfred Kayoka and Lieutenant Colonel Philip Polewara were both promoted to full colonels today at Mari Barracks, the PNGDF headquarters. Commander for Defence Force Brigadier General Gilbert Toropo said the Defence Force needs good leadership to ensure professionalism in the future of the force. He added that good leaders are scarce, hence the recent promotions under his command, including the 2 appointments witnessed today, are a reflection of his confidence and trust in the servicemen who have been appointed.
We've set on a journey to reform and revitalize the PNG Defence Force. And from where I sit and where the Defence Council sit, we are looking at quality officers at all levels to deliver those outcomes.
Newly promoted Colonel Alfred Kayoka is the new Chief of Plans, replacing retired Colonel Vagi Oala, and Colonel Philip Polewara is the new Chief of Training, taking Colonel Raymond Numa's previous office, who was appointed as Chief of Staff in January. Commander Toropo now looks forward to accelerated professionalization within the force, following the recent promotions, and trusts his appointees will do a good job at ensuring cooperation in mandated duties, further contributing to the force reaching its goals and constitutional mandates. Meanwhile, Secretary for Defence Vali Asi urged new promoted colonels Kayoka and Polewara to deliver to expectation and high standard.
Where our force must be men with professional and talented and gifted essence in those people states who must deliver and who must produce those outcomes.
Lorraine Gabina, National MTV News.
Morobe's Provincial Education Chairman Andrew Gena has confirmed TFF funds for the first quarter of 2016 has been released to schools. While the figure is yet to be disclosed, there are speculations the amount could be less than last year's. The Education Chairman revealed acquittals are still a process most schools in the province have to complete.
While most schools have revealed they have received 2016's first quarter of TFF funds, their 2015 acquittals have yet to reach the Provincial Education Office. The acquittals contain a list of budget and expenditures that schools have to produce. Some are still in the process of paying off other debts and bills that have accumulated from last year following late arrival of TFFs.
First for 2016 came in, so it's really helped us in offsetting some of the outstanding from last year, and also the bills increasing.
The education chairman says schools have not submitted acquittals from last year's expenditures. The Provincial Education Office is, however, calling for a setup of an independent acquittal team within the Education Division to speed up the process.
We have to have a good budget. Whatever comes either through a TFF or a parents' support grant or whatever has to be well accounted.
As the government moves towards delivering its policies, students' parents have been paying fees since free education was announced in 2011. It is also a burden slowly weighing on schools as they continue to be pursued by service providers to pay for works carried out on credit. Late arrivals of TFFs also forces schools to acquit the following year, which delays reports to provincial education offices. Colin Barilai, National MTV News, Leh.
And now looking at our finance news, the kina closed unchanged at $0.3290 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.3215 $0.4438 Australian dollars, €0.2885 euro and 35.75 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold, cocoa and copra closed higher, while coffee closed the day lower. Palm oil and crude oil closed lower, while copper closed the day higher. And on the stock markets, the Dow Jones closed at 188.80 points lower, the ASX closed at 104 points lower, and the All Ordinaries closed 95 points lower. You're watching National MTV News, stories making headlines overseas when we return. Welcome back to National MTV News. Turning overseas now into the latest in the US elections. Donald Trump claimed victory in Nevada today ahead of his rivals in the Republican race. But it comes as a surprise that some voters still haven't made up their minds. But there are others who go way beyond undecided.
At the Black Bear Diner in Las Vegas, it's pancakes served up with a side of politics.
Okay, you ready to play candidate trivia?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
We put voters to the test to see how much they know about the candidates, just a day before the Nevada Republican caucus. Tony Cervero started off strong.
That's the one and only Mr. Trump.
But when I showed him a picture of Ted Cruz, he didn't know his name. And watch what happened when I showed him a photo of this candidate.
Who's this?
Come on, you know him. That looks like Elliot Spitzer.
Oh.
Is that him?
No.
No, it's not.
That would definitely be no.
The love gov, they call him.
The love gov.
With this candidate, I got a blank stare.
You want to ask your pal over here?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Who is it? John Kasich. Oh, I don't know.
You don't even know the name. No. Now you have the answer and you don't even know.
Ohio Governor John Kasich's photo stumped nearly everyone we asked.
Who's this?
I do not. Is that John from Ohio?
John from Ohio. I like that.
I do not know.
Do you know his last name?
I do not.
Is that Kucinich?
Kucinich?
Yeah.
Nope.
No, got that wrong. Okay.
You want to try again?
No, not that one. Hey.
His initials are JK. Does that help you at all?
Jack Kemp?
Jack Kemp? Oh, my goodness.
This first-time voter clearly has to study up.
Who's this?
Marco Rubio?
Nope.
Teddy Cruz.
18-year-old Whitney Nacarado also had a whole lot of trouble with Kasich.
I think he's a movie star.
What movie was he in? Do you know?
No, I don't know.
He's a governor of a state, and he's actually running for president.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
but she does know movie stars.
Who's that?
George Clooney.
You know George Clooney, but you don't know John Kasich.
Nope.
Her dad didn't do much better.
I'm not sure about that guy. He's not currently running, right?
What if I told you he was? How would you feel?
I would be, embarrassed.
Some voters couldn't recall which candidates were in which party, and if they were even still running. This guy got Bernie Sanders and Jeb Bush confused.
You think that's Jeb Bush?
As far as the face, I have
no clue.
No clue as to the faces.
Okay, the initials are BS. Does that help you?
No. Isn't that what most politicians are?
Considering this group's track record, it's no surprise even this photo threw them off.
Who is it?
I know he's on CNN too, but I don't know his name.
He's on CNN. What show does he do? Do you know what time he's on?
Isn't it like at the night? Isn't it nighttime?
That's actually our vice president.
No, it isn't.
Who's that?
Biden.
Okay. Your daughter thought he had a show on CNN.
He kind of looks like Anderson Cooper, right?
Widespread protests in northern India have severely hit water supplies to the capital, New Delhi. This has forced factories to close in the city of over 20 million people as military forces were deployed to contain violence that resulted in fatalities. Water is expected to be restored in 2 weeks' time.
A truckload of water is the hottest commodity in Delhi right now. People jostle for every drop.
Residents in this neighborhood have received no water for the past 2 days, so this is what they've had to resort to. Tankers like these, hundreds of them, have been going from neighborhood to neighborhood.
Government officials say 10 million people have been affected by the water crisis, which they're calling unprecedented.
It's really difficult. We cannot survive.
She shows me how she's coping.
Wow, you filled up every single bucket in the house. Because I was not having a drop of water.
The lives of many in this city of 25 million disrupted because of week-long protests in the neighboring state of Haryana. Agitators damaged a major water canal, which accounts for 60% of the city's water supply.
This is one of the main highways connecting Delhi to the state of Haryana, and as you can see, they've completely blocked off the entire area. They're using these kind of pipes, tree trunks and trucks. Trucks have been lined up one after the other, so there's been absolutely no access on this road for the past few days.
Long live Jat unity, they chant. The Jats are a dominant caste in Haryana, traditionally well off.
It's like a camping site.
But they're demanding a place or reservations in India's education and government jobs quota system, which is designed to help lower castes that have been disadvantaged for centuries. The system is so unfair. Even if we study really hard and get much better grades than the lower caste, they are the ones getting accepted to the best universities just because they're lower caste. We want it to be equal for all, he says. The government has set up a committee to address their demands, but these protesters say they don't believe it. They want it on paper. Until then, they will continue to camp out. It's a pattern of resentment growing across India as jobs and admissions in universities become more competitive. Within minutes, they ask us to leave. Many here are still very angry. This caste-based quota system, just one of India's many fault lines, which can erupt any time.
An Israeli woman has transformed her small flat in Tel Aviv, Israel, into a shelter for injured bats. She shares her home with about 70 bats and feeds them with sliced fruit. She hopes they will fly again one day.
Noura is known as the Bat Woman. After turning her home into a bat shelter, she gets help from 2 volunteers to nurse these injured bats into good health.
I decided to help the food bats because no one helped them. And then I started, one bat after another. And now it's became like a huge thing with 17 bats and a new rescue place. And we have like volunteers that bring all over the country bats.
She says she does what she does for the purpose of one day releasing them back into their natural habitat. Her home shelter is a means of rehabilitation for injured, exhausted or orphaned bats. Some of the rescued creatures cuddle teddy bears hanging from the ceiling, while others cling to walls smeared with their excrement.
Now it's my house, and it's soon to be the first Israeli bat rescue shelter for food bats, Egyptian food bats. We have here 70 bats that are injured or exhausted or orphan babies.
Nora has made it her life mission to save bats and release them all back to nature. She gained publicity after launching a website campaign to raise money to build a proper shelter. The campaign reached its goal of raising 60,000 Israeli shekel. Lorraine Gabina, MTV World News.
Tech giant Samsung Electronics unveiled the latest versions of its flagship Galaxy S series on Sunday. Samsung once again launched two versions of its new premium phone, the 5.1-inch flat-screen Galaxy S7 and the 5.5-inch curved-screen Galaxy S7 Edge in Barcelona, where the industry is gathered for the Mobile World Congress.
Samsung's mobile phone chief, Ko Dong-jin, introduced the new phone models and spoke of the tech giant's values.
It's an honor to be part of this great company as we take the next big step forward to a galaxy of new experiences.
The company also debuted its first 360-degree camera, the Gear 360. It takes 360-degree photos and videos that can be uploaded to Facebook and YouTube or viewed as immersive experiences on Samsung's virtual reality headsets.
Now today, thanks to this partnership between Samsung and Facebook, this is now possible, and that day is here. And it wouldn't be possible to deliver this experience at this scale and this price without Samsung's experience and excellence in hardware and systems, and all of Facebook's experience delivering software, and of course with Oculus technology.
Company executive Jean-Daniel Im explained what new features this S7 series had.
You're very right. We actually implemented in this phone a feature we couldn't implement in the S6, which was the waterproof. So this phone is IP68 because this is the first time, thanks to heavy investment in R&D, that we can do it without any compromise on the design.
Analysts have predicted that more innovation will be found in add-on gadgets in Barcelona rather than in smartphones, which are becoming largely indistinguishable.
Okay, so actually what we try to do every time we bring a new phone to the market is to listen to what our consumers want, so what people really want. And as you mentioned, S6 was already one of the best, if not the best camera phone in the world, but we thought we could do better. With this one, we have introduced all the quality of the daylight to the nightlife. So with this phone, you have a camera which is just as good at nighttime as daylight. And this is a great improvement that we can deliver to all the users around the world.
Galaxy S7 models have no fundamentally new features, and investors and analysts expect growth to slow at Samsung in line with the smartphone market. Only Chinese manufacturers Huawei and Xiaomi have reported continued growth.
We all believe that competition is good. Competition is excellent. This is needed. This is what pushes us to strive for more innovation, for better features, better smartphones, a better range, and offering better things to our consumers. So we don't fear competition. We love competition. It helps us excel. It helps us create. It helps us push these boundaries that I was talking about.
Lorraine Gabina, MTV World News.
You're watching National MTV News. Trukai Sports is next. All the highlights in the National Soccer League matches in Port Moresby and Lae when we come back.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. To soccer, and the Lay City dwellers have been given a 1 million kina boost from the Morobe provincial government. The Tutumang passed a decision to inject the funding into the champion club. Morobe Governor Kelly Naru presented the funding this morning. The club is expected to account for all its spending back to the provincial government.
This morning, the Lay City dwellers got 1 million kina from the Morobe provincial government. It comes after a provincial executive council decision last month to allocate money to the soccer club. It's public money being spent on one team, and the management is expected to account for every toya spent.
It is public funds, and they will actually put it to use, and then of course they will actually account to us at the end of the day.
I believe that this money will be properly used and will be accounted for, and it will be put to the good use to help these young people to see their future.
Some critics will say that while the Morobe provincial government has allocated 1 million kina into one Morobe soccer team, the national government has cut 2/3 of funding going into church-run health centers around the country. Now that means provincial governments, including Morobe's, will have to provide more funding into health services in their province. Now, to Morobe's law and order issue, last year, 1 million kina was allocated into rural policing. This year, a significant cut. 800,000 was passed recently by PEC into rural policing this year.
So that's all about putting public funds and putting resources to good use for the benefit of our young people in the promotion of sports.
The dwellers are champions. Last year, they won the Telecom National Soccer League. They have enjoyed a good streak of victories in this year's competition.
Some interesting time coming ahead for Lay City Dwellers as we have finals to go, and then first time going for OFC Champions League in New Zealand. Most of our boys will be new for that tournament. But
at the end of this year's domestic competition, they will take part in the Oceania Football Confederation's National Cup. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV Sports, Lay.
Lay City dwellers defeated Morobe Welgris 2-0 during the second round of the Telecom National Soccer League Challenge at the Sir Ignatius Kilaga Stadium this afternoon. It was a tough match between the two home teams. Strong defense from both sides kept them from scoring. They went into the half-time with both sides yet to score. In the second half, it was the Welgris who kept the momentum going. But a small mistake in the 85th minute gave way to dwellers Nigel Dabinyaba to put in the first goal. And that was not all. Dabinyaba scored again in the 90th minute to bring the score 2-0 for the Lay City dwellers to win. To Port Moresby now, and Hekari United FC secured their second win in the finals competition of the Telecom National Soccer League, defeating PKA Rapatona 2-0 at the Bisini precinct today. Goals scored by Korea Kupaiga and Tommy Semi sealed the victory for Hekari.
Hekari pressured Rapatona's defense early in the match, which produced a goal through striker Korea Kupaiga.
And the first shot, Korea Kupaiga opens the score in this afternoon.
Rapatona strikers Patrick Isa and Ian Yanum were firmly marked by Hekari's defense, making it difficult to score. Hekari would lead all through the first half with the score at 1-0. In the second half, Rapatona came in determined to level the scores, but were again boxed out by Hekari's defense.
Oh, and the flag on the far side is raised. Ian Yanum offside.
Tommy Semi added the extras for Hekari in the 50th minute to see them further their lead.
Tommy Semi scores!
An ugly clash between Semi Campbell with PKA goalkeeper John Bai ended badly for Bai.
Semi Campbell went for a really supporters here for any of the NSL matches.
As the game proceeded, Rapatona could not capitalize on their attack, which saw the game come to an end, leaving the scores Hekari 2, Rapatona 0.
Poor option. And that in fact is the final.
Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
Don't go away, Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. The PNG Sports Foundation today officially kick-started their operations for 2016, with Executive Director Peter Chamalili Jr. urging the foundation to maintain its level of success from the 2015 Pacific Games. The foundation, together with the Sports Ministry, worked in partnership to ensure there was a lasting legacy instilled in the sports fraternity from the Games. The onus now rests with the foundation to carry that legacy forward in the years to come. For the year 2016, it begins with the staging of the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup, hosting of the biannual PNG Games in Kimbe, West New Britain Province, and the maintaining of sporting infrastructure worth over 1 billion kina.
We know all our KRAs, our KPIs, the indicators that we need to achieve so that we can justify the government that this is what sport can do. That's what we have done. So we will also justify and also to testify to the government that the Sports Foundation should still continue to exist for the many years to come.
Sports Minister Justin Chachenko has dismissed concerns regarding Port Moresby's incapability of hosting the Taekwondo Olympic qualifiers, following the support of 75,000 kina by the PNG Sports Foundation. Taekwondo PNG had requested for additional funding to meet accommodation, medical and transportation costs for visiting athletes and officials. Executive Director of the PNG SF, Peter Chamalili Jr., said the foundation was able to assist within the foundation's current capacity to ensure the tournament is a go-ahead. The Taekwondo Olympic qualifiers kick off on Saturday in Port Moresby at the Taurama Aquatic Centre. And that ends Trukai Sports for today. The weather details for the next 24 hours when we come back.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
Taking a look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region, Port Moresby, Daru and Kerema, mostly fine. Brief showers expected in Alatau and mostly fine in Popondetta. To the Momase region, fine weather expected in Ley and Wau, some showers in Madang, mostly fine in Wewak and morning showers expected in Vanimo. To the New Guinea Islands region, Lorengau, Kavieng, Kokopo, Rabau, Kimbe and Buka, you can expect fine weather. And in the Highlands region, all major centres to be mostly fine over the next 24 hours. To a look at the forecast for small ships for the next 24 hours, waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Kiwai Island, to Kerema, Yule Island, Hood Point to Samurai Island, and with waters of Samurai Island to Cape Vogel to Finchafen, sea 0.5 to 1.3 meters. Waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Islands with waters of Finchafen through Vitier Strait to Long Island, including CSC Islands, Dampier Strait, and with waters of Manus and its western group of islands, sea 0.5 to 1.5 meters. Waters of Long Island to Madang to Bogia, Wewak, Aitape and Vanimo and the northern PNG Indonesian border, and waters of West New Britain and Bougainville, seas 1.5 to 2.5 meters, and waters of New Ireland to East New Britain, seas 1.5 to 2 meters. And now look at the ocean forecast for PNG areas. Coral Sea, seas slight with southwesterly winds at 10 to 15 knots. Solomon Sea, seas slight to moderate with northwesterly winds at 10 to 20 knots with gusts. Bismarck Sea, seas rather rough with northwesterly winds at 20 to 25 knots. And the Pacific Ocean, seas slight to moderate with northwesterly winds at 10 to 20 knots with stronger gusts. Now before we go, recapping our top stories for tonight. PNG Ports Corporation signed sister port agreement with Shenzen Port in China. Solomon Islands Prime Minister Sogavare HERE in Papua New Guinea to discuss MGS Business, and Senior Statesmen receive copies of 40-year constitution. And that has been the news, sports and weather for tonight, the 24th of February 2016. On behalf of the news team, I'm Morobe. Pleasant viewing. Good night.